Hey gang, Raha here. I wanted to do a little review of a new e-cigarette model today. I have returned to vaping after about 3 years. I had previously been using one of these, little pen style mini e-cigarette. I got this about 3 years ago. And I thought it was pretty cool. At the time I was completely new to the idea of using an e-cig or vaping. You know, this was pretty neat. This helped me cut down on my smoking a little bit. I was like a 2-pack a day, pretty heavy smoker. You know, I like gadgets, I like technology, so I figured I'd try this out. You know, it's pretty good for a while, but these little batteries don't last very long. These little cartridges that attach to the battery, you see here. These, after you've used them for a little while, they start to get this burnt flavor to them because there's like a cotton wadding in there that the e-cigarette liquid goes into. And it's kind of neat, and I'll just show you. Take a little puff here. You can see, get a little bit of vapor. This isn't too bad. This is a tobacco flavor. Nothing too great. Tastes better than a cigarette. Tastes better than burning leaves. You know, nothing too great. Had these for a couple months. Kind of got sick of them. Stuck them in the back of the shelf. Recently, my wife and I had our first baby, and my wife started getting on my case about quitting smoking, and they're trying to cut down, and you know, that's just a pain. And I remembered that I had this, and I pulled it out of the closet, and I'll tell you, these are 3-year-old cartridges, and they don't taste very good. And I think all of the nicotine is probably completely degraded at this point, but got this out of the closet, used this for a couple days. I said, hey, you know, this is pretty cool. I gotta see what the technology, you know, obviously it's gotten better by now. So I did a little research, and you know, I'll tell you, the research can be a little overwhelming. There's so many different models out there. Everybody's got a different opinion. Some people like direct dripping, some people like cartomizers, some people like tank system. You can go crazy on the e-cigarette forums, but I'll tell you what I found is called the eGo-T system. This is a variant on the eGo. Uses these big, fat 650 mAh batteries, and these are fantastic. These will last pretty much all day. I pretty much take a fresh battery off the charger in the morning, and occasionally I'll have to swap out batteries at night, but for the most part, one battery lasts me all day. This little guy, I'd go through 6-7 of these batteries a day. Pretty horrible. You can see there's a pretty substantive size difference in these. You know, this little guy is very close to the size of a regular cigarette, maybe like a 100. And it's a little more subtle, you know, out and about in public. This kind of looks like a cigarette. This thing, you know, I don't know what it looks like, but I'll tell you, this works so much better. Let me just take a quick puff here so you can see. Right, pretty nice. A lot more vapor. This little guy, it's like a little pixie fart, right? That's nice. I mean, it helps so you can get you your fix, but this thing, you can just blow clouds of vapor with this. Had this for about a month now, but I just cleaned out my atomizer maybe just an hour ago. So it's hitting pretty nicely. Ooh, that is satisfying. It's close enough to a real cigarette. I don't even want a cigarette anymore. I'll be honest. I went from smoking about a half pack a day, trying to cut down, and feeling pretty miserable most of the time because I always just wanted to smoke more than I was. To using this bad boy, it's been I think 35 days now since I've had a cigarette. Every once in a while, one of my friends, one of my relatives, will be around somebody smoking a cigarette. Kind of think about it for a second, smell it, and you know, I break this out. This thing, it tastes delicious. I got a ton of different flavors. I'm vaping a Red Bull flavor in here right now, which is pretty nice. A lot of great tobacco flavors too. But after a while, you know, you really start to get into this. You're gonna want to try something a little different. There's all kinds of fruity flavors and dessert flavors and you know, all kinds of stuff you probably wouldn't really want to vape, like bacon. But maybe that's your thing. I don't know. So short and sweet, eGo-T. I'm in love with this thing. I sit here and use this thing like a pacifier all day long. I can use it here in my office. Doesn't stink up the room, doesn't stain the drapes, doesn't cause any problems. This is real nice. Look online, you can find these. You can find a starter kit. It's going to come with 2 batteries, 2 of these atomizers here, and these little removable plastic tanks that you put the liquid into. You can find them running anywhere from $50 to $100. If you're lucky, your local smoke shop might carry them. That's where I got mine. Paid a little more, but I wanted it now because this thing was not cutting it, and I wasn't about to go back to the analogs. So if you're curious, let me just show you real quick how this works. As you've already seen, we've got our separate battery, separate atomizer. The battery has a little button on it here. I don't know if you can see this. You're going to hold this button down, it's going to light up. You're just going to hold that button down just for as long as you want to take a drag. Depending on how heavy you like to hit, you know, maybe a quick 1-second puff, maybe you like a good nice 5-second clouds of vapor. Real nice. This other little thing uses an automatic battery. You draw on it and it generates some vapor, and it's generally a waste of time. The thing I really like about this system is that there is no cotton wadding like there is on the little pen styles that I found. You see, you fill up this little tank with some juice and slide it on back in there, which is easier to do when I'm not trying to watch myself on camera at the same time. I'm just going to wipe it because a little bit of juice will occasionally come out, especially if you're pulling a cartridge in and out like that all day. You're going to get little drops of juice on the end. Not a big deal. Wipe it off with a paper towel. Still a much cleaner habit than having ashtrays around. You don't want to keep this nicotine liquid on your fingers. If you've got pets, if you've got children, anything like that, make sure you wash your hands if you get it on your fingers. Just going to get a little bottle like so, or a big bottle like so. And what you're going to do, I'll take one of these empty tanks here. Take this little tank. It's got a little plastic tip here. You're just going to pop right off. Little plastic top. And you're just going to fill this thing up with liquid, pop the cap back on. When you first get these tanks, there's going to be a little plastic seal here, and you'll slide it onto the atomizer. You can see, if you look real carefully there, there's a little needle plate inside the atomizer, and when you slide this on, it's going to pop into place and make sure it's nice and flush. It's going to punch through that plastic hole. And at that point, the liquid's going to start flowing onto the wick, and you're good to go. You're ready to start vaping. So, I'm really liking this thing. I've seen some negative reviews. Some people say, you know, the flavor's not quite as good as some other e-cigs. They're kind of a pain to fiddle with. You got to fill the tanks. Sometimes they're a little prone to leaking. Haven't had any real problems with leaking. A few people have said, you know, all the liquids come out in their pocket. That's obviously not something you want to run into. But I think if you maintain it well, you take good care of it. You know, you got to remember, if you're switching from old school analog cigarettes, you're lighting something on fire and inhaling that smoke. That's a disposable product. You buy a pack of 20, you light it on fire, you smoke it down to the butt, you stick that nasty thing in an ashtray. This thing, you're talking about a durable good, okay? You got to recharge this battery. You got to maintain these atomizers. They're going to get filled up with old liquid over time. About once a week, I like to pull them apart, run some distilled water through them, run a dry burn. If you're not sure what that is, check out the folks at e-cigarette forum. They'll tell you everything you need to know. And pop it back on there, good as new. And that is just too nice. I've had 2 atomizers now, been running me strong for about 30 days. You can get new ones for about $8 to $15 a piece, depending on where you're buying them. New batteries will run you $10-15 a piece. It's not too bad. Even with the cost of the initial kit, which, like I said, I kind of overpaid for at the local smoke shop, and buying all these little bottles of liquid. You got a couple of empties here. You know, I'm still saving money over smoking cigarettes. It's in the long run, it's a lot better way to go, I think. this is still not healthy. Okay, I don't want to tell anybody you should go out and get one of these if you don't smoke, if you've never smoked before, just because this has nice flavors. You know, this isn't for kids. This isn't for people who, hey, you know, maybe I'd like to try this out even though I've never smoked or used tobacco products before. This isn't exactly nicotine replacement therapy. This isn't like a nicotine gum or a nicotine patch. You know, you still have this sort of hand-to-mouth habit, but I gotta tell you, it's a hell of a lot more satisfying than using the gum or the patch. And for me, it's just been a no-brainer to give up the cigarettes. And beautiful thing about this, you can get these e-liquids in varying strengths. I started out with a pretty high-level liquid. I've been you know, slowly working my way down. You can go all the way down to zero nicotine if you just, you know, like to kind of have the act of smoking. In this case, vaping. This is just water vapor. You've got propylene glycol or vegetable glycerin flavoring, water. That's it. None of the other 4,000 chemicals or so that are in cigarettes. None of the tar. None of the carcinogens. Nicotine's still not great for you, but you know, neither is caffeine, and that doesn't stop me from having my coffee every morning. So this is a big step up. If you're looking to try to give up the cigarettes, you're willing to try something a little bit new, go get yourself one of these. Look online, visit the ecigaretteforum.com, find a reputable provider, purchase one, and you won't look back, I promise you. It's not pain-free. It can be a little bit of a hassle sometimes. You can't quite get a good satisfying hit. You gotta mess around with your atomizers. You're gonna try different equipment until you find the one that you like just right. You're gonna try different juices and different e-liquids until you find the one that really suits your palate. But 35 days without a cigarette, I haven't done that in well over a decade, and I can't even imagine going back. So get yourself an e-cigarette if you're smoking those nasty old butts. I'm telling you. All right, I'll see you soon. I'm going to be talking about some of my different liquids, some of my different equipment, and look forward to hearing your comments. Take care.